Sex. It's an uncomfortable topic. And as we get older, there's one thing both parents and children alike dread. The talk. The birds and the bees talk, the when two people love each other talk, the sex talk. It's uncomfortable for everyone. But, fortunately or unfortunately, most of us don't get the talk. In a survey, 70% of MBHS students said that their parents don't bother talking to them about sex. Senior Carrie Bullard is an exception.
It wasn't like a very formal talk, like most people like in the movies that have like you sit down and you say like when a man loves a woman. It wasn't anything like that. It was just kind of like if you have any questions, like come to us because like we want you to be comfortable and be able to talk to us about stuff like that. So nothing bad happens later where you feel like pressure to do whatever.
You are going to have a situation where you're in a relationship and topics that you might not be comfortable with are going to come up, things you might not know are going to happen. So the more you know, the more comfortable you'll be in those situations.
I mean, my mom, she doesn't like say exactly like whatever talk about like the first time, but she kind of says that once you like go to college, because I'm going to go to college soon, so she says once you go to college, it's like the decision that you make are your decisions.
It is sort of taboo topic to talk about, and so it can be awkward because people just don't talk about it for the most part.
They're probably uncomfortable because I don't think it's like my parents are immigrants, so I don't think they like learned about it as it's not as open as it is like here.
Like the last people you want to talk to that about is your parents.
There's stuff I like didn't really understand, but then they're like, sex isn't a bad thing. It's like when you're in love or whatever. But I blushed a lot, so I was like bright red the whole time, and I like didn't want to make eye contact because no one really wants to hear their parents talk about sex.
I would say it's probably really important for parents to talk about it, but I think the reason why we do it in school is because we can't necessarily guarantee that every parent is going to have that conversation with every student. So we want to make sure there's a place where we know for a fact that everyone who comes through Monte Vista or whatever high school it is has at least had that conversation or has at least learned the basics and the important things about it.
I'm glad I got the talk. It was very uncomfortable at the time, but school kind of only talks about like biology and like growing up, that kind of stuff.
I feel like they kind of assume that we know and we know like what to do and what not to do. So I think that there's that need never comes to like have the talk.
They don't really stick with like if you're really in love with the person and you think like that's a good decision for you and you're comfortable with it, then go ahead and have sex. But like normally they say like don't have sex until you're married because like bad things will happen to you.
They probably feel like, oh, okay, maybe the school will do it too, so maybe I don't have to. So it saves themselves the awkwardness, and they also can have, comfort that someone, i.e. the school, is having that talk.
Most people have sex before they're married, and it's better to just accept that and say like use condoms, use birth control, or whatever method you need, because that's the best way to do it, like medicine and protection like that, rather than saying don't have sex, and then eventually you do have sex and you don't know anything.